Hello everybody, I'm Callie Banfield and I'm here because of the Purity Campaign. So to me, sexual purity is a total submission and commitment of your sexual needs, desires, thoughts, actions to God. So I'm basically here to share my condensed testimony to affect and infect other young persons to understand how important and how necessary purity is on your Christian journey or your journey as a young person on a whole. 1 Corinthians 6:13 says, "You say, food for the stomach and the stomach for food, and God will destroy them both. The body, however, is not meant for sexual immorality, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body." 1 Corinthians 6:18 says, "Flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside of the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body." Colossians 3:5, "Put to death therefore whatever belongs to your earthly nature, sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry." 1 Timothy 4:12, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." I can go on and on with way more scriptures, but I think we get the drift of how important purity is to a person, because there are many scriptures in the Bible about it. But let's get to my testimony. So I'll put my testimony together in 5 points. Like I said, it's a condensed testimony because I can go on and on about the goodness of God. But we have the foundation, the temptation, the confusion, the call, and the prodigal return. So let's touch on the foundation. Alright, so to give you a bit of a background, I was born in church, grew up in church, them kind of way, church girl, born and bred, and I got baptized in Form 3 14 years ago. And basically you're in church, but you're doing it because you're expected to do it, because that's what you know, it's what's familiar to you. So that's a bit of the foundation for me. Now in my later teenage years, early adult years, I was curious of the world and the things of the world, because I looking at them and they're looking happy, like what going on over there, like how they they're having a good time, they're having fun. And I was curious, and I think curiosity is what piqued my interest to venture out in the first instance, and that's what it is, the temptation. The confusion, I know I ultimately said the confusion, but I want to name this one the confusion/consequences. So after venturing out into the world, after going full backslidden state, not going to church, not going to meetings in church, not having anything to do with church, can't stand church people, them kind of way, and the confusion was real. Like I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. Like I was having identity crisis and trying to find myself in different cliques, drinking, partying, promiscuous living. And if we don't know what promiscuous living is, it's sex, like sex out of marriage, fornication, whatever you want to call it. And something about it wasn't satisfying like how it appeared to be when I was looking at these people out there, like, oh, they having fun, and I'm here and I'm like, this ain't fun. And it's not even long lasting, because you have to keep on tapping up, because the high doesn't last. I feel like the more I did these things, the more I felt like this wasn't for me. This is not what God intended for me to do with my life, because it didn't feel good very long. You sleep around, you whatever, but there's nothing that satisfies you in the long term. I think it's important to know that sin has consequence. Every action has a reaction, whether good or bad. And I got pregnant at the age of 24 with my daughter, and I think that was a real eye-opener for me in relation to the situation. Throughout the whole experience with my pregnancy and all that, I always felt the void to return. A void that could not be filled by sex or alcohol or partying or nothing. And that void was God calling me back home. And then we have the prodigal return. It's crazy that while I was in the world, I always knew that I had to come back home. There was always this push and pull calling my name, yo, return. This is not your place. And the peace I felt when I came back to God, it's just beautiful, amazing. The peace that passeth all human understanding. I think that's in Romans. And I just want y'all to know that preserving your purity and being in God's kingdom is beautiful. And there's no feeling, nothing could fill that void out in the world. Like literally, the love that God gives you and the peace the world cannot fill it. So I think I went over 5 minutes just by a little bit. But I just hope that you're touched by my testimony and that you understand how important purity is in the kingdom of God.